Every year in fantasy football, we have those players going in our draft that are either big time values at their current average draft position or are big time busts at their current average draft position. I made a video the other day talking about players that I am completely avoiding. That list include guys like Joe Mixon going within the top 24 running backs despite having a serious foot injury, entering a age 30 season and having a career of inefficiencies. Now, while I'm down on Mixon, there's a ton of guys that I am targeting at their current ADPs that are going to outperform them. Not that they might, they're going to outperform their ADPs based on everything we are hearing in training camp, their current situations, and where these players are in their NFL careers. So let's get right into this video and talk about 7 players that I am targeting at all costs at their current ADPs. Currently undervalued at their current ADPs. I'm going to start in Minnesota. And we've heard a lot of reports about Jordan Mason having a big time impact on this team. He's currently going as the RB40 right now, right around that 10th round draft range. And Jordan Mason's been a guy that has only had positive reports coming out of camp so far. He has had the short yardage role basically relegated to him on goal line works. Aaron Jones had 15 carries for -2 yards around the goal line last year, which is absolutely absurd. The Vikings improved their interior offensive line, and it looks like KOC wants to go towards a more two-man back split with the head of like Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison that they haven't had in quite a few seasons. Now, Jordan Mason, when he stepped in for Christian McCaffrey last year, he ranked second in the NFL in rushing yards per game, where he had 106 rushing yards per game and 14.3 fantasy points per contest with a third ranked explosive run rate. I mean, he was an absolute monster in the limited amount of work he had in the 49ers offense. And I think in Minnesota, where you have probably a top, I'm going to say top 10 for sure, run blocking offensive line with the additions they made on the interior part of that unit. You have an elite wide receiver duo between Addison Jefferson. You have a rookie quarterback. This team is going to rely on their run game heavy, and having two options like Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones in this backfield is very enticing. Now, you can get Aaron Jones in round 6 or 7, and you could go draft Jordan Mason 2 or 3 rounds later. Ooh, Jordan Mason, if he steps in for Aaron Jones at all at any point in the season, has RB1 upside. While both of them are playing together, they don't necessarily have super high ceilings, but Mason getting that work knocks Aaron Jones down a little bit. And I think Jordan Mason's in for a viable season, even if Aaron Jones manages to stay healthy the entire year, which he struggled to do over the past few seasons. Chase Brown's our next player here, and a little bit different from Mason. He's already going at a very, very solid price. Like he's the RB12 right now. And last year we saw him become a league winner, finished as the RB10 overall in PPR, despite not necessarily being the starter for a majority of the year. When he became a starter, though, 25 plus opportunities per game, 85% plus snaps played, 20.6 PPR points per game, which ranked RB3. And he also had the most targets per game among running backs when he became the starter. Now, why I'm so high on him, he's currently going late second, early third round right now with his RB12 price. And the Bengals actually cut his toughest competition this year in Zach Moss. Now, they did draft Taj Brooks, and they did bring back Samaje Perine, but I expect Chase Brown to play a significant role. And we've never seen Zach Taylor go with a committee-type backfield until last season with Chase Brown and Zach Moss, until Chase Brown completely took that backfield over after the Zach Moss injury. Brown proved that he can be an RB1 in this league, and he also proved that he is a great fantasy option. The Bengals' backfield is always a gold mine in terms of talent, and they ranked fifth in opportunities for fantasy points when Brown was back there. So everything is suggesting that he should be a little bit higher than his current price, and I'm drafting him way earlier than his late second and early third grade. Another player that I'm targeting is Justin Fields. Fields is currently going as the QB12, but we all know what Justin Fields brings. Elite floor with his rushing upside, and he also is in a good situation where I think he can produce. The offensive line in New York is upgraded. You have great talents like Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and they just added Mason Taylor, and I think those guys will provide Justin Fields with enough firepower there to make him solid. Like Justin Fields, a lot of people are down on him as an NFL quarterback. I'm of that group too. But fantasy football, we have to separate that from his actual performances on the field. What is encouraging, though, is his accuracy growth last season. He ranked top 5 in accurate throw rate while he was playing for the Steelers, which is good to see. If he can pair together, playing within the system with his rushing upside, his floor was already 20 points per game, and when he was on the field, his points per game had never been lower than QB9. So pair that together, Justin Fields is going to be an absolute steal, and him going as late as quarterback 12 makes no sense for me. I have him as high as quarterback 8 so far in my offseason grades. The next player, David Njoku, our only tight end on this list. Njoku's a guy who I haven't necessarily been the highest on all off season long, but he's starting to creep up on me just a little bit. The last 3 seasons, he's been a tight end 1, tight end 11, tight end 6, and then tight end 11 last year. The year he had those a little bit weird. He ranked top 15 in targets per game at 8.82, which was right behind Justin Jefferson, but didn't necessarily have the production because this Browns offense was incredibly inconsistent last year. Now, Joe Flacco looks like he's going to be the quarterback 1. And what David Njoku and Joe Flacco did at the end of 2023 has me really excited right now about where we're getting David Njoku as the tight end 9. He had 4 straight top 4 finishes, 16.4 plus points per game in each of those. He had a 75% route participation, and he also had a 26% target rate per route. That usage is a like Trey McBride level, Brock Bowers, George Kittle level, and David Njoku's going as the tight end 9. This guy is going to be better than tight end 9. I expect that he has top 5 upside this year with Flacco under center for the entire season. So that part is very exciting. Now, if Kenny Pickett or Dylan Gabriel gets announced as a starter, I am definitely not drafting David Njoku. But with the amount of late tight ends not being super enticing, I think Njoku is a guy that really could cash in for a line of lineups as a tight end 1 here. Our next guy, a guy that I've been preaching all off season long, is Jacoby Myers, who's slowly starting to come up draft boards. He's now up to wide receiver 39, which is still not even a wide receiver 3 in fantasy football, which is crazy to me. He's coming off of a career best season with 87 catches, 1,027 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So he had a 24.5% target share, and he averaged 75.4 receiving yards per game, which was 13th among wide receivers. And you can draft him, like I said, outside of the top 36 receivers, which is absurd to me right now at this point. Geno Smith enters in this Raiders offense. They should be much better this year. You get Ashton Genty as a solid running back. They can't be much worse than what they were rolling out in Las Vegas last year. And Jacoby Myers has proven year after year that he is going to improve. Last year, we saw him have 126 targets. I wouldn't be surprised if that number shoots up to 135, 140 with Geno Smith's past history in targeting wide receivers significantly compared to tight ends within the offense. Chip Kelly has similarly targeted a ton of wide receivers in his time. And Jacoby Myers, outside of him, they have a lot of unproven commodities in that receiver room. Myers is going to have a significant target share, and where you're getting him in drafts is so cheap right now. He's a guy that you need to be targeting for your flex, and he has legit wide receiver 2. I'm going to say even upper wide receiver 2 upside, which is so fun to see from Jacoby Myers in this Raiders offense. Tank Bigsby is our next player here. Bigsby is quietly taking over the Jacksonville backfield right now in training camp. He played the entire first team drive in the Jaguars' most recent scrimmage. Travis Etienne and Bashul Tutin are fighting over that third down role, with Etienne being the early leader in that. Tutin has played a little bit with the ones, but mostly operating with the 2s right now. He's a guy that I think a lot of people are high on because the talent himself hasn't necessarily proved yet that he's going to be on the field. We will see what the preseason entails, but everything is suggesting that Tank Bigsby is going to be the early down part of this offense, with Etienne and Tutin fighting over third down right now. And we saw what Liam Cohen could do last year with a similar crowded backfield and where Bucky Irving absolutely excelled. Now, Tank Bigsby as a player was not bad last season. 168 carries for 766 yards at 4.6 yards per carry, had 7 touchdowns, and his 3.74 yards after contact per carry were third best among running backs with 60-plus carries. So the guy was an absolute monster after contact and making guys miss, which is exactly what you want to see for fantasy football and whether or not their production carries over year after year. So Tank Bigsby in an improved offense with an early down role has RB2 floor, and he's going, let's see here, I have him as RB41 on Fantasy Pros right now in ADP. That's just absurd right now. Tank Bigsby is the highest floor player for a lot of these late round draft picks, and probably after RB34, where you can get him right after Javonte Williams. But I'm drafting Tank Bigsby RB30 right now, which is a lot higher than the consensus. And then the final player, a lot of people are hearing about him. It is Ricky Pearsall, who's going after the wide receiver 48. The path is clear for him to carve out a major role in this 49ers offense. They lost Deebo Samuel this offseason. Brandon Ayuk is going to start the season on the injured list. Jawan Jennings has missed 4 straight practices now with a calf injury. We will see what it looks like the first week of the season, but Ricky Pearsall is going to have a significant role in this 49ers offense. Last year was a slow start. Obviously, we know his situation. Towards the end, though, he kind of broke out. Last 2 weeks, 21.7% target share, 30.4% first read share, and he had an elite 2.84 yards per route run. Now, if this 49ers offense is anywhere close to what they have been in the past, and I suggest they will be, the offensive line is going to be healthy this year. You get McCaffrey back. Pearsall and the wide receivers are a bit of a question mark, but Pearsall is going to be their top guy if Jennings, Ayuk are out missing time. That makes it very intriguing. And Pearsall is going to operate as this team's primary slot receiver a majority of time in a high volume 49ers offense that I project to be top 5 in points per game this year. That's a guy that I want to invest in. I think Jennings has a higher ceiling, but the calf injury worries me. And with Ricky Pearsall going a little bit later, I'm going to take that upside with Kyle Shanahan, who's proven to be a hot commodity with a ton of wide receivers in fantasy football over his years. Overall, though, those are the 7 players that are completely undervalued right now in fantasy football drafts. Let me know down in the comment section below which of these players you are targeting, and if there's any I missed out that you're currently targeting at their current ADPs. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content, and I will catch you guys next time.